Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to talk about the S&P 500 through the ETF SPY. I'm recording this on 4/28/2024. I have two Fib sequences here, Fibonacci sequences. One starts at the low point of the 2020 crash and going all the way to the high point of SPY. And the second Fib sequence starts at the low point of the bear market in 2022 and goes all the way to the high point of SPY. The high of the SPY was 524. And as you know, through following my videos on this subject matter, I take a look at overlaps. All right. There is a overlap between the 38% retracement of the small Fib sequence to the 23% retracement on the larger sequence. That means that at approximately about 452 or so, maybe 457, there is a support level. So to round it off a little bit, a huge support level at just above the 450 mark. There's also a support level, structural support level, at the 483 mark. And then there's a psychological support level at the 500 mark. On the previous video that I mentioned, I said that 500, because of the double zeros and it's a major round number psychologically, that would be a support level. So you can see that it bounced off of the 500. The low point was at about 493. So you have traders that are definitely building support levels at the 500 mark. Now, I'll tell you what I think is going to happen here. There's higher probability that the market is going to go up and retest the 524 mark. If the retest fails, then it will come back down to the 500 and test the support level of the 500. If that 500 fails after retesting the high point of 525, what will happen is that it will march down to the 23% retracement and test the 483 and then try to come back up. But I think in the near term, what's going to happen is it's going to be bouncing around between the 500 and the 525. All right. And test. If conditions in the Middle East are somewhat stabilized, and we get better readings on inflation, or at least the perception of Federal Reserve hold or cuts in the Fed rate, then the market will rally. So pay attention to the near term. The near term is going to be bouncing around the 500, between 500 and 525. It's going to try to retest the 525. If conditions are right and positive for the market, especially with the federal funds rate perhaps being cut earlier than December, then there's going to be a test to the 550. If inflation stays high and the Federal Reserve decides to hold rates or maybe even raise rates this year, then most likely it will break past the 500 and test the 483 and just above the 450 mark. The 450 mark is a strong structural support level. The 483 is a support level, but I wouldn't say it's as strong as the 450. So it's possible to break the 483, but it's much lower probability to break below the 450. A much lower probability. It's possible to break the 483 mark, but it is a support level. Now, and if you notice, the 23% retracement is just above the high point before the bear market. So that's also part of the calculus here. Now, if you paid attention to what I said when playing this bull market, I said that to take money off the table when the market hit about 500, and to put money about 12 to 15% in cash. All right. I said how to deploy money into the bull market. And if you did what I told you to do, you made money. All right. Well, for the ones that took the money out of the market when it hit 500 and took the 12 or 15% into cash, what you want to do is just wait. It's not time to redeploy that 12 or 15% of cash. Wait to see if the 483 is tested or if it breaks. If it breaks, then it's probably time to actually redeploy the 12 to 15%. Depending on the news, if you want to wait a little bit and see if there's a larger correction that takes place at just above the 450 mark, any deployment of cash between the 483 and the 450 would be probably a good position to get in for SPY with that 12 to 15% in cash. And so that would mean that you'd be 100% invested in the S&P 500, or at least the amount of money that you want in the S&P 500. So that's one way to play it. Again, like I said, there's higher probability of it bouncing between the 500 to the 525, at least in the near term. And there's going to be a retest of the 525. If that retest fails, which is possible, if that retest fails, then you might get a break past the 483 mark. And then I'd probably redeploy the 12 to 15% in cash. If it breaks the 525 mark and starts marching towards the 550, I would wait with the 12% or 15% in cash and wait for a larger correction. Now, what I think is going to happen is that you're going to start seeing, if you look at this kind of structural downturn here, right? And you go to this structure here where it came up, went down, tried to test the high again, and then failed, and then started marching up. Or maybe better yet, this structure right here, where it comes up, comes down, and then fails to get to the high point, and then comes back down, tests the bottom, gets a little bit better, and then marches up. You might see this kind of dynamic starting to develop here. All right. So you get that retest, come back down, you deploy that 12 to 15% in cash because it broke the 500 at, let's say, the 483 mark or below, and then it starts marching back up to 550. That's how I think it's going to play out. It's going to play out probably something similar to this. Now, that's barring some major event in the Middle East or some economic catastrophe or something. But that's what I think is happening in the market. I am more positive about the S&P 500 than most people that are doing this kind of analysis. Some people are thinking that it's going to be a big correction. I don't think that that's the case, at least in this year. So we'll see how it evolves, but that's my take on it. Hopefully you learn something and how to invest into the S&P 500 through SPY. and what the support levels are and what are the resistance levels. There's definitely a resistance level at 525, but I think that you have a strong support level at 483 and a very strong support level just above the 450 mark. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the health supplements that I offer. I offer structural nanosilver supplements. I offer supplements that bring down inflammation, help to boost up your immune system. I also have deodorants, and I have anti-aging boxes that I've curated at different price points to help to get your body to its highest potential in terms of health. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and purchase the products that I offer. I also sell ebooks, and I also sell lectures about pulmonology and immunology. So please go to the store and purchase those lectures. You can get 22 lectures on pulmonology for only $50. You get PDFs and access to videos. And for the immunology, for $50, you get access to 16 videos and PDFs. So please go to the store and purchase those modules. In addition, please help support my work by donating on my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. On the homepage at the very bottom, you can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee. And you can also help support my work by being a paid member on Patreon. Link is in the description of this video. And you, depending on which version, which tier version, you get different access to different videos. So please help support me that way. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.